On July 27, 1998, 11-year-old Ryan LaShawn Harris and a friend were taking turns riding a bike on the 6800 block of Normal Avenue. Harris's friend went inside momentarily. When she returned, she saw Harris riding the bike north, then Harris turned the corner 2 blocks away, heading west. This was around 3 p.m. in the afternoon. This would also be the last time that Harris is known to be alive for certain. The next day, Harris's body would be found a half a block away from where she was last seen. Ryan Harris did not live in the Inglewood neighborhood that she went missing from. Harris lived in Linwood, a suburb of Chicago. Harris and her siblings were spending the week with their godmother. Later that evening, when Harris did not return home from bike riding, Harris's family called the police and passed out hand-printed flyers. The next morning, on July 28th, Harris's semi-nude body was found behind the vacant row houses in the tall weeds on the 6600 block of Parnell. As early as the day her body was found, witnesses say that they saw Harris on the day she disappeared walking down the street with a man who was wearing a hat that had a Cool Cigarette logo on it. Other accounts has Harris walking down the street with the man in the Cool Cigarette hat as late as 8 p.m. The man fitting the description of the man wearing the Cool Cigarette hat was questioned and said he was outside drinking with other men at the time of Harris's disappearance. Blood, hair, and fingernail samples were taken from him, which all came back with no hits. On August 5th, 2 little boys, ages 7 and 8, were questioned by the police. Police initial contact with the boys was deceptive. Police told the parents that they only wanted to speak with the boys about what they saw in connection with the crime scene. Elijah Henderson was 50 pounds and 50 inches. On August 5th, detectives got a tip that 2 boys throwing rocks at Harris a few days before her death were the ones that killed her. So the police, telling the parents that they only wanted to talk to the boys to get their account of what they saw, was a flat-out lie. Police would not say where they got the anonymous tip. First, Henderson said he saw Harris get in a car with an adult. Then later, Henderson changed his story and said that he saw Harris's body before the police came. While Henderson ate police-provided McDonald's, his mother didn't know that Gibson was busy being interviewed simultaneously to gain information on Henderson. When Henderson was interviewed, he was separated from his mother. Police said that she didn't need to go. When Henderson's father arrived at the station, they told him he had to leave the station and they could not give him any information because it was an ongoing investigation. Henderson also told police that 2 men picked Harris up in front of his house and put her bike in their trunk. Henderson repeated this story for 2 more officers. At this point, both families had been at the station for hours. The parents believed that they were helping with a murder investigation. Police reports claimed that Henderson was given Miranda rights. Yet Henderson's mom claims that that did not occur, which is believable since the police have yet to inform her at this point that they are questioning her son in connection with a homicide. Omar Gibson is the 7-year-old suspect. Gibson's grandmother took him to the station after church. Police claimed that they showed Gibson a picture of Ryan, and he admitted to throwing the rock that hit her in the head and knocking her off her bike. Then, without further prompting, according to police, Gibson described how he and Henderson drug an unresponsive, heavier body, 2 boys who are 50 and 60 pounds. Further details were provided, yet out of respect, I won't disclose those. Yet what's more interesting is what the police report did not reflect. It did not reflect that either boy knew the size of the rock that had been thrown, nor did either boy know the colors or style of clothing that had been worn by Ryan. After the confession is when the youth officer was notified. According to Illinois law, a youth officer is an interested adult or a substitute parent when a child's parent was not available. Yet Gibson's mother was present inside of the police station. Gibson's mother was told she did not need to accompany her son during the interview. Gibson's mother had been led to believe that Harris's death was a violent and brutal sex crime, according to local news reports. And now Gibson's mother was being told by police that it was an accident and the boys didn't mean to harm her. The boys had been charged with murder, and she was also told that now she couldn't speak to her son without a lawyer present. It was not until 11 p.m. that Henderson's mother was told that her son was being charged with murder. The police explained that Elijah confessed to the crime and that he possessed knowledge only a participant of the crime would know. I didn't tell them that. He didn't do that. Mom, I didn't say that. These were just some of the protests made by Henderson to his mother as police explained why he was being charged. The parents were told if they did not agree to sign to the boys being sent to Hartgrove Hospital, which is a psychiatric center, that the boys would be released into the custody of DCFS because the boys had been charged with murder. The boys spent 4 nights at Hartgrove, underwent psych exams, and made 2 court appearances, after which the boys were placed on house arrest and custom-made ankle monitors were made for the boys. On September 3rd, 1998, the crime lab concluded testing on Harris's garment, which included the presence of semen. September 4th, 1998, the case against the boys was dismissed. Why was it such a rush to charge and prosecute minors telling a ever-changing story with no physical evidence to back up their claims? Some allege that the boys were framed. Four years prior to the Harris case, Detective James Cassidy elicited a so-called confession from an 11-year-old suspect who the detective claimed admitted to killing a neighbor because she continuously called him racial slurs. The physical evidence in this case as well did not point to the accused suspect. A bloody palm print found at the scene pointed to another suspect. In both cases, these were children who were interrogated without youth officers present and only informed of their rights against self-incrimination after their confessions. No tape or audio exists of these confessions, just the word of this same officer. The second arresting officer, Alan Nathaniel, also had allegations of misconduct. On January 1st, 1998, Durr attacked a 15-year-old girl that later picked him out of a lineup. Not even a full week later, Durr assaulted a 10-year-old girl. In May of 1998, Durr attacked an 11-year-old girl. Even after the presence of semen emancipated the boys and led to Durr, some media still question who actually killed Harris. In April of 1999, Durr was officially charged in connection with the Harris case. Yet Durr made an Alford plea. An Alford plea is when a defendant says that they're guilty because it is in their best interest to do so, but maintains that they are innocent. Alfred pleas are still very rare. A pre-trial ruling would have allowed Durr's other crimes against other young girls, which would have likely made his conviction more probable. Sabrina Harris, Ryan Harris's mother, concluded that the state only agreed to the deal with Durr not to have to admit the botching of her daughter's case from the very beginning. Yet the state claimed that Durr was mentally retarded, and that's why the death penalty was off the table. Floyd Durr scored a 59 and a 65 on an IQ test in the year 2005. Yet in the year 2000, he scored an 86. A psychiatrist and a psychologist both claimed that Durr was faking symptoms of a mental illness. And Durr admits to faking symptoms of a mental illness because his life was on the line. Can a hurled rock by a 7-year-old 50-pound child cause the injury that killed Harris? Before, mind you, before the boys were charged, an Area 1 detective called the medical examiner and asked that exact question, to which the medical examiner replied, no. The medical examiner also said that Harris had been hit with a larger object and that with more force than that of a rock. Police said the boys killed Harris for her bike, yet both boys had bikes, and the bike was never recovered. Remember that early report about a man putting Harris's bike in the trunk? At the time of Harris's death, there were 172 registered sex offenders living in Inglewood. 74 lived within a mile of the murder. When police went to question Henderson about the rock throwing incident between him and Harris, they spoke to Henderson at a family member's house. Police first talked to Henderson's 10 and 11-year-old cousins. The children, who both rode bikes with Harris on the day she disappeared, both children told police that a red car pulled up in front of Henderson's house and that a man got out, called Harris by name, and offered to take Harris to the store to buy her some candy. According to the children, one of the men took Harris's bike and put it in the trunk of the car. The children also went on to say that those same men had been arrested on the day that Harris's body was found. A red Chevy Corsica had been pulled over and the men had been arrested on Parnell, in fact, on the day that Harris' body had been found. The men had been charged with disorderly conduct and various other traffic offenses. One of the men had been convicted for sexually assaulting young girls. The interview with Henderson's cousin did not get submitted into evidence for 7 weeks. By then, the charges against the boys had been dropped. 3 barrettes were found inside of the red car and sent to the state crime lab. After the boys were charged, the crime lab was told by police there was no need to check the items sent from the Corsica. Henderson also told police about the red car initially when police interviewed him. The only good thing to come out of this entire tragedy is the mandatory recording of homicide confessions by the Chicago Police Department.